If a lion does not find meat, it will feed on its own tail. Find these men. Find them. Deep in the jungle of Bomadi Kingdom, Sabii walked confidently, without any fear in her eyes or in her step. Hoping, of course, that everything goes according to plan, she continued. Tell my grandfather that I will send word and arrange for us to meet secretly at a later time. And so the spies returned to Warri Jaffa with Sabii's message, while she and Bariza snuck back into the palace grounds undetected. Meanwhile, in the palace, King Dabota was already fuming with anger following the commotion caused by the incompetence of his guards. Am I to become a joke and a cause for laughter to all the rulers of the Niger to the river Nile? Where are my chiefs? Bring them before me at once. Dabota's rage could not be contained, for he was determined to set an example with some of his guards who were posted on watch. But then, just in the nick of time, Bariza joined the other chiefs to help appease his fury. My king, Bariza called out, the plans of your enemies will not succeed. The intruders have been exposed. At that same moment, elsewhere in the palace, Sabii made her way to the quarters of the women. As Tari ran to embrace her, the other maidens were still in tears, shaken up by the sight of gorillas running around in a rampage in the palace. We all took refuge in my lady's chambers, but you did not. Where were you, Nanima? Tari asked. Sabii understood that she had to stay safe for her mother, including her family. With the lions. I was with the lions, Sabii quickly replied to Tari, in an attempt to assure her friend of her safety and to explain her absence during the chaos in the palace without drawing any further suspicions. But will her clever response be sufficient? Meanwhile, Dabota looked angrily at Bariza. Speak, Bariza, Dabota called out with heightened expectation. There cannot be smoke without fire, Dabota continued. Every ruler knows that every offense stems from three sources: a grievance, greed, or a desire for power. Which is it, Bariza? Bariza took a deep breath, realizing that from this moment there was no going back. It is greed, my king, he declared. Everyone in the palace gasped in surprise. Bariza continued. These men, whoever they are, made their way with valuable goods as the people ran into hiding. See! In a dramatic manner, he tossed a bag of gems on the floor as exhibit. The gems that spilled onto the ground as they tried to flee. My men are already in hot pursuit. Having heard these words, Dabota became even more enraged. What would people say if they learned he couldn't even hold his own against common bandits? He flew into a rage, declaring, If a lion does not find meat, it will feed on its own tail. I will not be made a laughingstock. Find these men. Find them. Who could have thought? The tables have turned. Right now, if only his thoughts speeding through his mind could be measured. For ages, his clan has served the kings of Bomadi, but this moment marked a significant shift in the course of affairs and probably in history. As a savvy strategist that he was, upon arriving at the palace, Bariza secretly collected a bag of jewels and directed his soldiers to pursue the intruders. However, he cleverly instructed them to chase in the opposite direction of the route the spies had earlier taken. Bariza was not about to lose his entire clan to a tyrant king with the temper of a nursing child. No, not if he could help it. I have kept my word, my princess. Now, will you keep yours? Bariza thought to himself. And so, as the spies made their way back to the castle of Ose Abasiama of the kingdom of Wari-Jofo, they reported everything to Prince Benigo in the presence of Leba and Benny, Sabii's parents. Upon hearing all that had transpired, Prince Benigo shook his head. He was definitely not expecting this outcome. Leba and Benny could hardly believe what they had just heard. But as they frantically inquired of the men to get more clarity on the situation, Prince Benigo burst out in laughter. Papa, how could you laugh at a time like this? This is not funny at all. What do we do now? Leba asked his father in frustration. We wait, Benigo replied. She does take after someone I know, and I'm not talking about your wife. Like father, like daughter. Now you know what it feels like when your child has the head of a coconut and does not listen to you, Benigo remarked with a gentle smile. She is truly the offspring of Abasiama. Benigo was genuinely impressed by her natural ability to exert authority over such fierce-looking men. A replica of your grandmother, Queen Boma, he observed. Our daughter has made a choice, and we will not be far behind. We will keep a close eye on her, and I will use everything in my power to provide her with all she requires. Well, when much is expected, much is required. But how much does Sabii truly understand? How much can her narrow shoulders bear? Meanwhile, despite the search party's exhaustive efforts to capture Bariza's supposed bandits, they returned empty-handed. But Dabota's chilly reception upon their return was loud and clear, for he was determined to maintain his reputation in the region. As for Sabii, she remained determined to stay focused despite her being cooped up in the palace. Sabii would make sure to meet up with Bariza at a designated spot whenever she managed to run errands at the market. But those opportunities quickly became scarce as Omero started scolding her for taking too long to return. Feeling let down, Sabii found solace in spending time with Beru and Kimba. Observing them closely, she began to learn valuable lessons. Lessons one can only learn from spending time in nature. One of which is her impeccable attention to detail, much to the delight of Mama Omero, who had grown fond of Sabii. But Sabii's progress did not escape the attention of Dabota. His keen eyes observing something truly magnificent. The lions were walking alongside Sabii. Dabota was captivated, for he had always believed in the display of strength in all matters. Have Bariza brought to me at once, Dabota commanded, his voice cutting through the palace corridors. As soon as Bariza received the summons, he became terrified that his secret had been uncovered. Why else would Dabota summon him so late into the night? He wondered. Dabota waited anxiously for Bariza to arrive. As Bariza walked toward the king, Dabota wasted no time getting to the point. This Nanima, she is the daughter of a farmer in Ngede village, as you said? Bariza calmly replied, Yes, my king, although his heart nearly jumped out of his mouth. But not since the day she was brought to the palace to work for you. he continued, trying to maintain his composure. So then, let her begin her work, Dabota ordered. The tree can hide how wide its roots will spread, but its branches tell its secrets. She has shown herself very resourceful with my lions. When the time is right, I must have these lions standing by my side. When this happens, reports of me will strike fear in the hearts of many. You, Bariza, will be in charge of training her, starting today. See to it. Dabota commands. My king. So it begins, the journey of small beginnings. How else can a small earthworm, though delicate in appearance and soft to the touch, dig through layers of earth, sliding on the boulders of rock deep beneath the earth without being crushed? And so it was that Sabii was able to master the skills of survival in uncertain times, with so much thrust upon her shoulders in so little time. But time, they say, is one thing that cannot be held down by any man or woman. The flow of time has seen empires both rise and fall, and thus begins the rise of Nanima, the Lion of Ngede.